I have a bit of a book hoarder's room. Little stacks of books constantly pop up everywhere because the shelves I designated for them are already full. This is a fine problem to have, but sometimes it makes the atmosphere in my room a bit too chaotic, and I just wish I had one single area where all my books fit. I've had this little piece of furniture for years, and honestly, it's a bit uninspiring. I could move all of the non-book things out of it, but then I'd have stacks of non-book things everywhere instead. I knew I needed something better, and instead of buying something, I decided it was the perfect time to really kickstart a woodworking hobby I've been meaning to nurture for years. To give you some background, I recently graduated from architecture school, during which I worked with a lot of wood, making models, wooden molds, and even designing and building an entire life-sized pavilion. I've also professionally designed fixed shelves for kitchen counters for my job, which would be built in an industrial capacity, so I think I should know how this stuff works. A few months ago, I got a jigsaw for free and used it to build my first woodworking project, a monitor stand that could house a MIDI keyboard under it, simultaneously making my position while sitting at my desk healthier and optimizing my desk space and production workflow. After all, what is furniture but little buildings? Or what are buildings but big pieces of furniture?
If it hangs from the wall, it's a painting. If it rests on the floor, it's a sculpture. If it could fall down at any moment, it's architecture.
So I got to designing something that could replace my white shelves, so I knew I had to design something that I could feasibly build myself at home, but that would have a distinctive flair. My first decision was to use a metallic structure that would invite a play of masses while giving the strength to hold all of my books. I had a threaded bar lying around, and it inspired me to use something similar for all the vertical elements in my design. This would be ideal for my underdeveloped woodworking abilities, since I wouldn't have to make precise cuts to get desired heights, instead freely adjusting bolts until everything fell into shape. These rods have a problem though, and it's that metal is a highly ductile material, meaning it can deform without breaking, which is good, except that they do deform, which is bad for the stability of my design. So I looked for inspiration in diagrid structures, probably the most recognizable, versatile structural system in the world. From everyday things like cranes, Walmart ceilings, and transmission towers to icons like every monumental bridge ever, and even the Eiffel Tower. These structures work with the very basic geometric principle of triangular rigidity. When you have a rectangle, downwards forces are handled very well, but when a horizontal force is applied, they deform. Adding a diagonal element inside it meant that when it tries to deform in one direction, the diagonal element tries to stretch out. This is called tensile force. By adding another diagonal element, both work in tensile force, meaning something that can't be stretched, like a cable, can be used. This is perfect for my design, because the thin rods combined with cables gives the entire piece a certain lightweight appearance, as opposed to the strictly thick, solid elements of regular woodworking, which is boring. I came up with the idea of stacking various boards of wood at the pre-cut length they are sold in, and holding them up with the rods supported with the diagrid elements. Since no screws, glue, or other kind of permanent joints would be used, my design would be fully modular, meaning that in the future I could move the shelves up and down, add more, or make smaller ones. I started out with a quick test, using half-inch rods and metal wires. These metal wires are the exact same you'll find in cable-stayed bridges. To tie these, people use something called U-bolt clamps. In Spanish, they're called
Perros.
literally
Dogs.
which is funny. However, I purposefully overlooked another piece used in real diagrid structures, turnbuckles. These are the pieces that allow the cable to be stretched out as much as possible, but they're hilariously massive and would completely ruin the design, so I thought that I could tighten them by hand. This proved to be impossible. since the cables, even though they're the thinnest you can buy, are too thick to tie knots with, and can't be stretched without stabbing your fingers with a million tiny metal fibers. So I went out and bought some curtain string of different widths, which are supposedly the strongest strings available. I also stopped by the hardware store to buy the rods, only to find out that they only sell either 1 meter or 3 meter long rods. The ceiling of my room is 2.5 meters tall, and I had no way of cutting the rods, so I chose the 1 meter rods. This required a quick redesign of my piece, where instead of having one long rod that goes all the way up, it starts with two which are joined with another in a sort of tower shape. With this design, I was ready to start building. Before that though, I want you to study this preliminary sketch and spot one fundamental error and one fundamental choice I will completely forget about. I started drilling holes into the wooden boards on my makeshift workbenches in my parents' laundry room. I managed to make the holes, but not without drilling a hole into one of my makeshift benches, making my back feel like it aged 3 or 4 decades, and completely failing to realize that cutting one of the 1.5 meter boards into a half meter and 1 meter piece meant they weren't long enough for the rods to fit through them. This was fine. I just cut the bigger one in 2. What wasn't fine though was that I forgot about the solution to having 1 meter rods. The whole tower-shaped strategy I mentioned. I couldn't continue building without first venturing out into the world to find coupling nuts. These turned out to be highly specialized pieces of hardware, and I had the choice to either order them online and wait for up to months for them to arrive, or trying harder to find them here. I spent an entire morning going to different stores before finally finding one that sold them. They had exactly the amount I needed, but they all looked different. Me not wanting to order them online, I said fine and bought them, thinking no one will ever notice. I finished mounting all the boards onto the piece and laid it all down to start tying the strings. I took extra care to add an extra nut on every corner to tighten the strings and hide my amateurish knots. This was much easier than using the metallic cables, but it still took me a while to get the hang of it. I used a thicker string, which wasn't as easy to hide between the bolts on the bigger rectangles. I made sure to tighten all the strings until when plucked, they vibrated at a frequency higher than a C3. I'd been using these little felt stickers to stop the bolts at the bottom from scratching the floor. To replace them, I bought these generic silver colored legs, which don't look great but will be mostly hidden under the bottom board. I also decided to integrate bookends. Keeping with the raw, exposed aesthetic of the piece, I screwed in some generic corner brackets. I debated for a long time, finishing the boards with some oil or varnish, but when I made the monitor stand I mentioned earlier, I showed the guy at the store this reference image, and he sold me dark gray tint, so I'm not sure I will be trusting varnishes, tints, or oils for a long time. Maybe one day I'll think it looks too IKEA coated and apply some oil, but for now I'm going with the DIY aesthetic. The only thing left was moving it into my room and filling it with books and stuff. So I decided to walk to the park for this last part. Indeed, I did. I don't know why I expected the audio to sound anywhere near acceptable standing half a mile from the camera on a windy day near a main road with no microphone. Plus, I thought I'd improvise, which didn't really work out. You might be watching this because you're subscribed to this channel and wondering what happened to the breakcore tutorials I've been making for years. Well, on the one hand, graduating and starting to work full-time has given me a newfound appreciation for making things related with my career in my free time. I am as passionate about construction as I am about music. Plus, I would rather be making new things than continuing to deny that my music content's time has come and gone. I used to get thousands of views within weeks of uploading. Now, I hardly ever get double digits ever. Same with streaming. My Spotify listeners count has halved nearly 3 times since it peaked around 3 years ago, which is a long time to insist on making the same content. Speaking of streaming, paying for DistroKid is not really worth it anymore. So I'll be canceling my subscription before it renews in January. My music will still be available for free here and on Bandcamp, so don't worry, but it seems like it's time to move on. I worked really hard on making this piece of furniture, and I think even harder on editing this video. I really enjoyed it, and I hope to make more. Honestly, it was a modest endeavor, nothing really flashy or fancy in any sense. Materials are too expensive to make things without being sure they will work, but hopefully I can get more daring in the future. Not just woodworking content, I've been working on a documentary on a really obscure topic. Here's the working thumbnail for you to keep in mind. As for the shelves I've built for this video, I'm happy with them. They're sturdy and look unique, all thanks to my background in architecture, so that's really rewarding. It completely transformed my room. Now when I lay in bed, I get to stare at a vodka ad on the back of a magazine. Having all my books in the same place. By the way, I put all the novels on the big shelf I already have, and only put non-fiction and reference material on it. Invites me to study them and rediscover books I might have forgotten about. I've found myself staring at it and picking up anything that catches my attention. As you can see, I added some extra strings to hang some of my favorite maps I've collected over the years. Now this whole wall looks really organized with all the posters gone. It can even be a picturesque background for future videos. A relative found out I'd been making this and actually commissioned something similar for their apartment. Shortly after, another relative asked for one too. There's the stereotype that architects graduate from school and start selling lamps, so I guess this is my lamp, which is exciting. And I know this video will not reach the levels of my most popular posts, but I did put a lot of time and effort into making it, so I really hope you enjoy it, and drop a like maybe. Thanks for watching, and bye.